So in case any of you are wondering what sort of books I read, I know most of you won't, but I've pulled 5 books from my library, which is just about all I've got right now, dealing with the subject of creationism and evolution, and the evidence and interpretation of that evidence. I'm going to take a little different approach to these book recommendations. I'm going to show you the book, and I'm going to read part of the introduction or the preface, just to let you know, kind of what's in the book and what it's about, in the author's words. Maybe you'll be interested, maybe you won't, but this is what I have been reading, aside from what I can get online in this subject. Here we go with the first book. The Revised and Expanded Answers Book, the 20 most asked questions about creation, evolution, and the Book of Genesis answered. Written by Ken Ham, Jonathan Sarfati, and Carl Wieland. Edited by Dr. Don Batten. These folks are young Earth creationists from the Answers in Genesis group. They answer actually 19 questions. The 20th question has to do with what can I do after reading this book. But they answer, does God exist? Did God really take 6 days to create everything? What about the gap theory? What about carbon-14 dating? How can we see distant stars in a young universe? How did bad things come about? What about arguments for evolution? Cain's wife, who was she? Were the sons of God and or the Nephilim extraterrestrials? Was Noah's flood global? What about continental drift? Noah's flood, what about all the water? How did all the animals fit on the ark? How did fresh saltwater fish survive the flood? Where are the human fossils? What about the Ice Age? How could animals get to places like Australia? How did the different races arise? And what happened to the dinosaurs? Most of this information is also presented on their website. If you'd like to look there, that's what they will be presenting in the book, and is documented with citations and such. There is an updated version of this book that has 5 more questions and about 100 more pages, published in 2006. This is the older version. It has 20 questions and about 270 pages. Bones of Contention, a Creationist Assessment of Human Fossils, by Marvin Lupinow. He's a young Earth creationist. This book is about 300 pages long, and I will read a bit of the preface for you. The human fossil record is strongly supportive of the concept of special creation. On the other hand, the fossil evidence is so contrary to human evolution as to effectively falsify the idea that humans evolved. This is not the message we hear from 100 different voices coming at us from a dozen different directions, but the human fossils themselves tell the real story. The field of paleoanthropology has been, and will continue to be, an area of intense controversy. It necessarily must be. Its concepts go far beyond the data of science alone. They strike at the very heart of human origins, human nature, and human destiny. No questions are more basic to us, or more controversial. Hence, the raw data of paleoanthropology will always be bones of contention. This book is the fruit of 25 years of research. Because its conclusions are different from what is almost universally believed, it is heavily documented from the most recent scientific sources. The human fossil charts found form the backbone of my argument. They are among the most comprehensive human fossil charts to be found anywhere in scientific literature. Because of what these charts reveal, this type of chart is difficult to find in evolutionist writings. Although the dates on these charts speak in terms of millions of years, I do not accept these dates. I march to the tune of a different drummer, based upon the data set forth in the early chapters of Genesis. The purpose of this book is to demonstrate that even when the human fossils are placed on time charts according to evolutionist dates for these fossils, the results do not support human evolution but conflict it. The Hidden History of the Human Race by Michael Cremo and Richard Thompson is the condensed edition of Forbidden Archaeology. It is approximately 300 pages, and in this condensed version it is missing some of the details and missing the bibliographical references. However, they left most of it intact. These writers are not creationists, not in biblical sense. They're not young earth or old earth creationists. They are members of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, a branch of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and they believe that the human race is of great antiquity and that it coexisted with human-like and ape-like ancestors for a very, very long time, and they that is how they interpret the evidence. They show that for a long time paleoanthropologists have been misinterpreting evidence. Sometimes they're hiding it, or sometimes they're changing it. I haven't gotten through the whole book yet, I will admit that, but I do recommend that also, beside Lubinau's book. I don't think I'll have time to get to the next two on this video, so I'll make part 2 and I'll post that up as a response to part 1.